Hello, I'm Rytis from Oxylabs, and in this tutorial you'll learn how to build an eBay scraper in Python step by step. By the end, you'll be able to extract product data like title, price, availability, and item specifics, and save it into both JSON and CSV files. To start, let's briefly look at why building an eBay scraper in 2026 requires more than just basic HTTP requests. Websites like eBay use dynamic content and anti-bot protection, so scraping them directly can be difficult. That's why instead of sending requests straight to eBay, we'll use Oxylabs Web Scraper API. It takes care of things like rendering, proxy rotation, and parsing, allowing us to focus on collecting structured product data. Now that we've chosen our approach, let's prepare our Python environment. First, install the requests library, which we'll use to send HTTP requests. Next, import the requests and JSON modules. These will help us send structured requests and store the output. We'll also import pprint, which stands for pretty print. It allows us to display JSON responses in a clean and readable format. With the environment ready, the next step is defining our payload settings. Here, our key variables include the source, which we set to eBay, Oxylabs' dedicated target for eBay URLs, and the product URL we want to scrape. We'll also enable parsing and define what exactly we want to extract using XPath. XPath selectors describe the specific parts of the page we want to retrieve. To extract the title, we define a function inside the title object using the _FNS property. This function tells the parser how to locate and extract the data. We specify required fields, such as the function name and its arguments. Let's quickly check where the title appears on the page. Open the browser's developer tools, select the title, and inspect its location. You'll see it's inside an h1 tag with a span element. So in our XPath, we simply find the h1 element with a span child and extract its text using the text function. Before moving on, it's worth briefly demystifying XPath. At first glance, it might look complicated, but you can think of it like an address. Just like a street address helps you find a specific house, an XPath expression helps you locate a specific piece of data on a web page. Next, let's extract the price. Here, we can see that the text is the child of a span, and both are children of a div element with a class of price primary. The remaining fields follow a similar structure. Using this same approach, we can extract the title, price, seller URL, availability, and even item specifics. Now that our extraction rules are defined, let's build the payload. We set the source to eBay, pass the product URL, enable HTML rendering, specify a desktop user agent, and set the geolocation to Canada. Finally, we attach our parsing instructions so Oxylabs knows exactly which fields to extract. Next, we define the API endpoint URL and add our credentials. With the endpoint and credentials ready, it's time to send a POST request to the Oxylabs real-time API. We pass the payload as JSON and authenticate using our username and password. The raise for status function ensures we get an error if the request fails. If the request succeeds, we parse the response as JSON and store it in a variable called data. To make the output easier to read, we use pprint to display the response. Next, we'll save the full API response to a JSON file for later inspection. Let's run the script. As you can see in the terminal, pprint displays the response clearly. Now let's take a look at the JSON file. The API response contains two main parts. The first is the job object. This reflects the request we sent, including our payload, the URL, parsing instructions, and the job status. It's useful for debugging, but it's not where the scraped data lives. The second part is the results object. This is where Oxylabs returns the scraped data. Since it's an array and we requested a single product, we simply access the first item, the element at index 0. Inside that result, the most important section is content. This is where our extracted fields appear: title, price, seller URL, availability, and item specifics. Everything else in the response is metadata, while the actual product data lives inside content. We start by retrieving the results list from the response. If the API returns no results, we use an empty list to prevent errors later. We also create an empty parse data dictionary, which will populate once results are available. Inside the if block, we store the first result, which corresponds to the product we requested. From that result, we access the content object, where all parsed fields are located. Next, we process item specifics. The API returns this as a list of objects, each containing a key and a value. We loop through the list and build a single dictionary. For each pair, we take the key, remove any extra white space, and store it with its corresponding value. This gives us a simple key-value dictionary instead of a list of pairs. After that, we build the parse data dictionary to organize all the scraped fields. We also print the status code, which helps us quickly confirm whether the request was successful. Finally, we save the scraped data to a JSON file called eBay product data.json so it can be used later. We also export the same data to a CSV file. Using csv.dictWriter, we write a single row with our fields. Since item specifics is a dictionary, we convert it to a JSON string so it can fit neatly into a single CSV column. With everything ready, let's run the scraper. As you can see, we receive a 200 OK response, and both the JSON and CSV files are created successfully. Let's take a quick look at the results. The eBay product data.json file contains all the required fields, and the CSV file has also been saved correctly with the same information. Now that the scraper is working, there are a few important best practices to keep in mind. Before you start large-scale eBay scraping, always remember to follow ethical and legal guidelines. Respect the website's terms of service and avoid overloading servers. And that's it. You now know how to scrape eBay with Python and build your own eBay data scraper. If you have questions or run into any issues, email us at support@oxylabs.io or use the live chat on our homepage. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next one.